Hi, everyone. Welcome to True You podcast, a storytelling space for self discovery where we use this safe and brave space to address racial trauma and healing for Black women through our own lived experiences. I'm Kelly, and this is my co host.
Hi, I'm Debbie, and we're a mother daughter team having real conversations about real issues shared by and for Black women because we have something to say.
Yes, we do. And so, hi, everyone. We're back for another great episode and a great guest. But first, let's just start with some check ins. Ma, how are you feeling today?
I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm excited about our guest today, my dear friend Markeyta. Really excited to have her. Markeyta, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. Thanks for asking and having me. And how are you ladies doing?
Can't
I know I'm
complain.
doing. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to hear what you've got to say because I know you got some good conversation for us today. So I'm looking forward to what you have to share with us today. And thank you for saying yes.
Ooh, the pressure. All right. Oh, yeah, the pressure. All right. I'm ready.
Well, today's title is Breaking Barriers, and I thought the title was great because we have a powerhouse guest today, Markeyta, and we're going to explore the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to Black women entrepreneurs in the entertainment field. So, Markeyta has a beautiful story and about her journey, and I am just so excited that she has agreed to share. Markeyta, can we just start from the beginning on how what made you make the decision to evolve your passion and start your own business?
Okay, Kelly. Well, thanks again for having me, first of all. But starting at the beginning, for some years, I've always had an entrepreneurial type spirit. So I had, taken my shot at a couple of businesses. And presently, I have a couple right now. I know that we're talking about one specifically, but how I came upon this specific business is because I had, kind of got my feet wet with other businesses. I knew that it could be done. But what made me initially just step out, one, was the pandemic. We kind of took a step back with things and had to find alternate ways of just living life and being successful and keeping our heads above water. So during that time, I had a lot of time to think. And I came out of that saying, hey, if you're going to do it, go for it. If you're scared, do it scared. Just do it. But besides that, what made me step out with the business I'm going to talk about today, the Marletsko Group LLC, which is an event and entertainment company, is because I've been singing all of my life. Well, most of my life since I was 8. And I was singing mainly in church and for different groups and choirs and recording with them and things like that. But I think around 27, I wanted to just get some extra income with music. And I stumbled upon an audition with an entertainment company in the Chicago area. And I auditioned and I got the job. The company that I worked for them on and off for 20 years. And honestly, they are like family. I love them. The owner, she is my age, and I, got a lot from her and, saw the boss lady that she was and, just was encouraged in the business aspect of it. However, over the years I've been with them, if I am to tell the truth, I got overlooked a lot. I know that there are a lot of other people more talented than me. I'm not Beyonce or none of that, but I do know what God has given me. And in that group, I was, if not the only one of the only singers that was versatile. I could sing everybody's part. I could do anybody's song. However, with my experience, I even gave my resume to kind of step up in the band. I was never given the opportunity, kind of just pushed to the side. And then after I had left one time, I found out from a friend that I wasn't being promoted in that company because I was the heaviest girl, plus size girl. And, I didn't have long, natural flowing hair. So I wasn't marketable. I wasn't appealing. And that really crushed me because the talent was there, but the look wasn't there. So I left the band. I came back after a while. I said, no, I'm going to make one more attempt at this. I brought a whole different band. I trained them. I did the style that we did. We did the songs, and I just laid out a showcase. Said, "Hey, I want to come back, but I want to come back as your second band, not the band I was originally with, but I want to do a brand new band partnering with you." Oh, okay. And I tell you, I killed it. But again, I was not given that opportunity, and I had people come in that fit that picture, and they were put over me. They were not as talented, they were not as skilled, did not have the resume. So I got tired. Eventually, it took too long. It shouldn't have taken 20 years, but I got tired. And I said, you know what? I do well with planning events. I do well with, I've been musical director for churches and for organizations and groups. I can do this. So I already had the skill set. So it just took some faith, and I stepped out and I did it, and I did it scared. And here I am.
Wow. That's an amazing story of en- endurance and pushing through
Hmm.
despite the odds. And um, so, can you talk a little bit further about like um, you getting started and what your organization is about and what it does?
Yes. Me getting started, one thing that I had to do, and thankfully, because it's just me and my dog, I don't have a lot of familial responsibilities. I was able to invest in myself. So I was able to make some sacrifices financially and invest in myself. And that is how, pretty much how I got started. I, at the time, had a position that help to sponsor slightly some things. But overall, I just had to take a chance and bet on myself, so to speak. And that's how I got started. I like to be organized and, don't want to be out here, as they say, janky or halfway doing it. So I took the time. I found out how to create an LLC. I wanted to do everything legally right. I didn't want the I, the R, and the S coming after me just because, I say I have a business, but I didn't set it up right. I did everything I needed to do to properly set it up, from setting up the business to the marketing. And I was like, okay, let's do this. Now, the musical part of it, or the events and the entertainment part, that was a breeze. But, it was a little tedious, doing the business part. But if you're going to do it, you need to do it correctly from the jump. And they say first impressions are lasting impressions. So I wanted to make sure everything was right with my business. Then I did the easier part, that was getting the team together, of some friends with skill sets, and doing an official launch. So people knew that we were here. So yeah, it took a while to do the back end stuff. And then, we came on out with a bang.
Amen. Thank you, Markita. That's an amazing story, and I know that, of course, even though it may sound tedious, those documents and all of the IRS information has to be done.
Hmm.
Got to cross all those T's and dot all those
Hmm.
I's. But as I
Hmm.
look at your
Yeah.
ministry, and I call everything's a ministry to me, your ministry, you have done
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
remarkable job moving out there and doing what you do, especially as a Black woman. And I realize too that this is an area that is pretty much dominated by men. So, can you describe some of the challenges that you faced getting started in this business? What are some of those challenges in general?
First, I'd like to say thank you for acknowledging that it is ministry, because any and everything that I do, I have to serve. It has to be something that allows me to serve, or I'm not going to do it. Because from music to whatever it is, my job and my ministry and my mission is to encourage people and to put smiles on their faces. So yes, thank you for acknowledging that it is yet a ministry, and those challenges. Yes, being not only Black, but being a woman. So it's kind of like being at the bottom of the totem pole, and that's unfortunate, but that's the only way I can see it. It's not easy, because if you have if you've done your research and look at history, when you are applying for loans and doing things business wise, all of the rules don't apply to everyone. So it's one set of rules if you're black, and then it's another set of rules if you're a woman. So it's like a double whammy. So the challenges has they have been financial, of course. Like I said, I had to bet on myself. I had to sacrifice, my own money to make sure that I did that. I didn't want to do anything cheap and shabby. So, I put my best foot forward to make sure it was done with excellence. But I sure wish that I was able, to get some monies. I did apply for some small business grants and things like that. But, a lot of times when you're just starting out, you don't always get those. One, because you have to kind of learn the field and, learn the verbiage that will attract them. Then, two, a lot of times they don't want to give you money out of the gate because you don't have the experience. So, you just really have to sacrifice for yourself. So it has been a big challenge financially. Also, even though I've been doing music a long time, people, you gotta love them. People are people, whether it's family or friend. You gotta love people because I had a wonderful launch, but then I had, a couple of events, that were paid, and some people, and I understand people's pockets, but if it wasn't free, they weren't coming, so I couldn't, you know, my budget, I have to pay for my musicians. I have to pay for my help. I have to pay for the venue, so, just seeing my little business account going down, 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 that's a challenge as well. But still knowing as an entrepreneur, you have to invest. I just keep the faith and I keep praying. I was like, keep putting your best foot forward, keep marketing, keep showing them that you're one of the best, and it's gonna come around eventually. So financially and support, yeah, those have been challenges as well.
Wow. Yeah, I know we went to your first launch and it was amazing and we had a good time. It was
Thank you.
wonderful. And you can tell it was top notch. There was nothing shabby about it. So you do a wonderful, wonderful event and you have some great collaborators. So thank you for what you do. But it's, and I can imagine that also you're also juggling your people as well. So that I'm sure I'm not of I
Hmm.
don't know the business, but I do know you probably have to determine, okay, who am I going to have at this show? Who do I want to launch off this time?
Hmm.
And because of that, I'm just wondering, are those some challenges as well? Do you have problems with, not problems, but trying to determine whether or not you want to move forward with this particular artist or that artist?
Hmm.
Just wondering.
Yes, that's a good question, because even though I am an entrepreneur, business owner, I am an artist as well. And I have been on the other side when people want you to come and do a full show, but then like, oh, here, I have $20. No, no, no. What can someone do with that? So by me being an artist and I have built a relationship, I mean, 10, 20, 30 years with some people in the music business in the Chicagoland area, they know that if I call on them, it's going to be done correctly and I'm going to give them the best pay that I possibly can, and they trust me in that. So it is difficult because, of course, I want the best of the best musicians and singers and production and all of that. But when you get the best of the best, you got to pay the best of the best. So, yeah, you're correct. I have to juggle some things. Say, okay, well, for this event, I can't have the live band and singers because the budget just won't call for it. I'll just have to have a DJ. So there are those tough calls because, I think of it as a consumer would. What will the people get? What would they, partake of? And yeah, that's difficult. Yeah, it's difficult to handle sometimes.
Yeah, and just standing on your worth, because I think a lot of times, when you're doing a business and you want to do well within, like, I'll just say, black communities, and wanting to,
Hmm.
just, make sacrifices on your end to like accommodate finances. I think a lot
Mhm.
of times we just need to stand on our worth and understand
Mhm.
that what you're
Mhm.
giving is is worth it. And how do you
Yeah.
move forward
Yeah.
as as in your business if you're cutting corners, so to speak. So
Right. Right. Can I say something
yeah.
about that, Kelly? About you speaking about your worth, and and for anybody that knows God has given you skills and talents, and even though it may be evident, and though people may say how you've blessed them or they enjoyed you, it's still a inward battle sometimes to be mindful of your worth, because with all of that, it could take one event, it could take one person sometimes to kind of just shut that down. And you just have to have, high self esteem and high confidence in that. And you were talking about knowing your worth, in relation to the Black community. I had to, and not to be cocky, I have no reason to be cocky at all. I yet have to know my value and my worth. And I love my Black community. However, I had to let it be known what I have to offer, whether it's alone or with a team, it's worth a lot, not only in the Black community, in the Caucasian community. I'm doing a grant now with the South Asian or Indian community. I know my Jewish horror. I can do bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs. So it's just a matter of your skill set. It's nothing wrong with letting people know, hey, I'm charging this, but you want to know what? I really can charge this because you can get all of this when you get my company. So yes, knowing your worth, that's real. I'm so glad that you said that. It's a constant reminder that us as women, us as people of color, because society will do all it can to try to shut us back down. And there's nothing wrong with holding our heads up high, holding our chests up, and knowing what we are worth. So thank you for mentioning that. You need
Yes,
to know that in
yes.
business.
And just piggybacking off of that, um, I've done some research, and um, despite Black women being like the fastest demographic of starting businesses in the United States, there are many challenges.
Hmm.
You've mentioned some of those. There's no secret about Black women facing discrimination on many levels in the male-dominated entertainment industry. You mentioned even about um, figure size, and you could look. It's very apparent
Hmm.
in the
Hmm.
entertainment business,
Yeah.
what people deem as marketable, um, despite talent, or even putting an appearance behind the talent, where like there's been times where voices aren't from that actual person, it's someone else's voice because they're not
Hmm.
marketable
Hmm.
and things like that.
Hmm.
But even like
Hmm.
looking at political shifts, and the negative trickle down effect, such as the affirmative action and the attack on the DEI programs. And I was reading about the Fearless Fund Grant Program lawsuit, which was heartbreaking and also infuriates me, because it also furthers the gaps of funding for Black females. Can you share
Yes.
your thoughts on that, and what are the things that keep you pushing forward with your business?
Yeah, what you mentioned is really disheartening, especially, the dismantling of the DEI programs. And I remember I was watching, I think I might have been watching The View. I love watching The View when I first learned about the Fearless Fund grant. And I've been to their website, and, they have great sponsorship and great support. But the fact that, in my opinion, evil, pure evil, racial evil would just seek out to destroy that because of fear of elevation of people. Just people. We're people. I mean, brown, white, pale, green, purple, whatever. We're people, and it, and yes, it hurts my heart deeply. Being a woman and being Black. And even though it hurts my heart and it can be discouraging, that's where I get my fight. That's what keeps me going. Um, because it goes back again to your worth. We can't let society dictate our worth because, whether we're on social media, on TV, or watching TV rather than listening to radio, sometimes we need a break from that. I have to take a break from the news sometimes because what we ingest sometimes can be influential and it's not the truth of who we are. So yeah, I have to just sometimes, just say, hey, I know what God has put in me. I know what God has given me. If someone says no, someone else is going to say yes. If this is not my tribe, someone else is my tribe. If this is not my group to entertain, it's somebody else that will, And I even over the years of just singing, I've had some people that I even worked with musically, and things just get back to you. And it's not always people just being mean. They just want you to know what's going on. But people be like, oh yeah, Markeyta's a has been, or she's this, or you still listening to her, you still like her. But those are just not my people. But then you have to think of all the other people that you've helped, you've blessed, you've encouraged along the way, and just pull, from that. And that's what keeps me going. They can dismantle all this stuff. That's all right. We built this country. We're here. We're not going anywhere. And we're a part of the future if they like it or not. So we're here. Let's keep pushing.
Amen. I just so love that about you. You are so strong, and sometimes the world takes advantage of our strength. And I just thank you for not
Hmm.
allowing the world to take that from you because you are who you are. That's who God has made you to be. And you are gifted and you have so many gifts and talents. And
Thank you.
I know, we don't have enough time for me to talk about all those gifts and talents on this podcast. But I do want to bring up the fact that you are also a PhD college educator. You are an
Hmm.
amazing woman who can do a lot. I mean,
Oh,
God
thank
has
you.
truly blessed you. And I'm not sure if you've heard about this, but back in January, there was an article about a beloved black female
Hmm.
administrator with a PhD at Lincoln University in Missouri. And there was an HBCU, and she committed suicide. And she left a note indicating that she
Hmm.
faced mistreatment and bullying by her colleagues in that particular field by yet the current president of
Hmm.
Lincoln University. And so I have a three-part question for you. And the first one is, do you feel that black women who excel higher in education to the PhD level are more likely to be mistreated and bullied? And why? Why or why not?
Yeah, I did follow that story of the black female administrator, and it hurt my heart to the core because a lot of times people, and I'm saying people loosely, but people and society would make us think that educated black women always have a chip on their shoulder. Um, it's just because we have to work. They say twice as hard. No, we have to work 5 times as hard just to get a eighth of respect. And 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 you talked about how strong I am. Thank you for that. But just as strong as I can be or others can be, we're just as tender on the inside. Like they say, check on your strong friends. Yes. We and we feed off of that. God has given us that gift to be strong, to be there for others, and to have lived through our experiences, and you know be strong because of that. But a lot of those experiences that have made us strong are like calluses. We get wounded and wounded, and it seems like it heals all the way through, but it just develops a callus, kind of tough skin. But sometimes if that scab or that callus peels off, it's still tender underneath. So when I thought about this administrator in that respect, I looked at her. I was like, she's beautiful, she's educated, and a lot of people were probably like, she committed suicide. You never know what a person is really going through or where their tipping point is. From the strongest, most popular person in the world, you just never know. And it hurt my heart because, yes, there is mistreatment in higher education. Yes, there is bullying because there are people that look at you and feel you should not be there, regardless of the fact that you went to school, regardless of all the thousands that you paid, the dissertation, it that goes out of their mind because they look at you and feel that you don't deserve to be there, and I'm a witness for that.
Amen. Thank you, Markeyta. The second part of that question is, have you experienced mistreatment and bullying in your field of education? If you can share.
Oh yes, on a collegiate level. I remember when I first became an adjunct psychology professor. To get into the department office, you had to have a key. you know. So I guess I was, part of the younger group, and I came in. I had on my jeans and my sneakers. I had a nice shirt, but it wasn't a dress code, so I went. I was relatable to my students. I had on my jeans and my sneakers, a nice top, and nose pierced, and here this and that or whatever. And I remember coming in with a key to a locked door, and there was an older Caucasian gentleman sitting there. And like I do everyone, hi, good afternoon, how you doing? He didn't say anything, but his eyes followed me all the way to my mailbox, where I got my mail out of my mailbox. And then he said, "Are you looking for somebody?" I said, "No." He was like, "Oh, I was just wondering." I said, "I just got my mail out of my mailbox." Oh, you're supposed to be. I said, "I opened the door with a key." And at that point, it was just no more conversation. I just went on about my business. Um, but at my last position, at the collegiate level, after teaching, I was a program director of a grant funded program. And it was just a wonderful work experience because my boss was a black woman who also had her doctorate, and she just knew how to treat people. She knew how to treat people and treat them well and right. And we were great producers because of that. And she went on to another position. She's still a good friend of mine. She went on to another position. So at the end, towards the end of my grant funded position, I had a Caucasian young lady for the last couple of months of my program. She was a social worker. She had a master's degree. We were equal colleagues in this department until my supervisor left. And we bumped heads. We bumped heads a lot because I would try to collaborate on some things as my supervisor had wanted with this young lady. But it's like she just fought back. And after a while, my supervisor just let me be because I said, "Listen, I'm trying to collaborate." But it just seems, like I said, you don't always want to have like a chip on your shoulder. But she just always looked at me and spoke with me as if I didn't belong. I didn't deserve, the position that I had. So when she became my supervisor for those couple of months, she was in heaven. She did everything. Oh, God is my witness. In about 2 to 3 months, wait, yeah, about 2 to 3 months, something like that. She did all she could to try to dismantle every great work that my program had done for the last couple of years. She made sure that she attempted to get under my skin however she could. She had an opportunity to continue the program, but chose not to and put the millions somewhere else. She did everything she could to try to destroy me, but she did not. I am my grandmother's child. My grandmother was a wonderful Black Christian woman and educator and entrepreneur. And just by her example, I knew how to handle her because I did not handle her like she thought I was going to be the angry black woman. She didn't know how to take that. But I was the educated black woman, and I was prepared for every curveball she tried to throw. So yes, it was very disheartening. It was very hurtful because I ended up having to end the program. I was going to be okay, but then I had a staff, and she very well could have done all she could to help keep my staff on. But anyway, I don't want to go on and rehash that. But yes, it happens in 2023, 2024. It happens.
Wow. Well, you had an opportunity to overcome that because of who you are and who your grandmother was. Praise God. But there are others, I'm sure, and I do recall in this same article there, they talked about a support group they came up with to encourage women, black women who had PhDs, and gave them an opportunity to come together and talk about those things that were heartbreaking, and to kind of keep them focused on their education and being a part of a community. They were a part of a community, and I just wonder: do you know if there are other opportunities? And I know you were just at. Well, I'm not sure the name of your college, and I don't expect you to share it. But was there a support group at your college where you worked, or were you able to get some support there other than what you were able to get for yourself?
Well, yeah, I won't mention the place where I worked, but to be honest, the program that I led was the support group. The program that they ended
Oh
was the
no.
support group. Uh, but being in education, and I know we're going from my business, but I also have a nonprofit called Let's Be Well. It's in its infancy, but I wanted to create it just to keep up the work that I was doing at the college where I was. But being a black woman in higher education, you do have to be mindful of your mental health and your mental wellness. So just even in my own research and just things that I do for myself, we get, social media gets a bad rap. I get it, but there are a lot of good things on social media. I have, had to unlike some people and not subscribe to some pages so that my timeline can be more positive. So if you go on Instagram specifically, there are a lot of mental health and wellness, self care pages that, because I make sure that I am that person. I'm going to post my daily scripture, and I'm going to post something encouraging. And a lot of what I get that's encouraging comes from those social media platforms and resources. But yeah, like you mentioned, I need some help and support too. The healer needs some healing too at times. So there are a couple organizations. People can look up, and there's the Association of Black Women in Higher Education. That website is abwhe.org. There's Black Women in Higher Ed. That website is bwihe.org. There are also, if you Google, I always say Google is your best friend. If you Google Black Women in Leadership Affinity Groups, you can find some support and some resources there as well. One more, a website, which is the women'sinitiative.org. They have a sister circle program. They're out of Virginia, but they do have some good things on their website. And even though, I have my hand in a number of things, I still want to have that branch, mental wellness and health, available to people. So even if you are looking for resources or help or just have a question, I can always be reached at let's be well nfp.com. That's LETSBEWELLNFP at gmail.com. And if you're not sure, hey, I'm not going to remember that, you can just go to my website, marlatsco.com. That's MARLATSCO. There you can find out about the business that I was talking about earlier, but I do have a tab on there talking about Let's Be Well and how you can contact me for mental health and wellness resources.
That is wonderful. And we'll also add that in the description for everyone so you can access those sources that were Marquita just mentioned. You've already touched on it. We're getting down to our last question. As Black women, there's those periods of racial trauma, and especially those who work within community. And I know we talked about actually we talked about both. We talked about the trauma and then also about mental health and healing. We're not clinical experts, but I know you mentioned support groups. Is there anything else you think the community needs when it comes to racial healing?
Yes, unfortunately, racism is here to stay. But fortunately, we are gaining more and more tools on how to properly deal with racism and how we can racially heal. Just give you a quick example. The American flag, it means different things to different folks, not to go into the story, but I had a situation recently with a Caucasian woman regarding the American flag where she was rude to me because, and I had to end up telling her, first of all, you could have spoken to me differently. Second of all, you're going to hear from me that the American flag was not originally for me in the first place. So therefore, the way that you view it and the way that I view it are totally different. Not saying anyone should be disrespectful, but you need to look at it from my lens as well. So that's one part of racially healing, not to be rude or try to be confrontational, but to own how you feel as a minority, a black or brown man or woman. Own how you feel. We get tired sometimes of educating Caucasian people, but we have to tell them. Don't let as they say, don't let people play in your face. One thing I say is, God doesn't play about me, so you better be careful how you treat me. So that's one way that we can begin to heal ourselves, being truthful, not trying to be confrontational, but being truthful and letting people know when they are ignorant of certain things. Another way of racial healing is just something that I engage with communities when I have the opportunity. Talking about finding support groups, whether it's like a peace circle, a healing circle, or just having those conversations with people of color, you will find that you are not alone. And that instead of being a silo in that and talking to other people, you can get other tools and skill sets with how to deal with that have worked for other people. And there are a lot of ways educating yourself with history, learning about the present, limiting how much news you take in, but you still have to know what's going on. And then, to me, above all, you have to have some type of prayer life. Whether you want to say it's prayer, it's meditation, you have to take time for yourself, with yourself. Talk to God, get what you need, get some direction, breathe, because we can ingest all this stuff and we can't heal. Like I talked about earlier about, we get wounded and stabbed and just that scab keeps coming on, get callous and all that. But underneath it's still tender. We need to let that wound breathe and breathe naturally in its own time. But we need to take the time to put the ointment on, put the bandage on, clean it off. You know what I'm saying? It's a process. Healing from anything, traumatic or anything, it's a process. But us as people of color, we have to deal with everything all other people, including Caucasians, deal with life stuff. But then we have to deal with the racial stuff as well. That's a lot. That's heavy. So that's all I got.
Absolutely. That's Thank you, Marquita. That you hit it right on the head. I love the analogy. Everything that you mentioned is so useful, and I'm sure people will be able to take what you said and apply it to their own lives, and that's really why what it's all about and why we're here. Um, Ma, I'll pass it to you. Anything you want to say?
No, I am full. I am grateful, thankful for our guest today, Markeyta. You have really taken us to school, and I appreciate all that you've shared today. God bless you.
Thank you. I appreciate you all having me and giving me a voice in this. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you for saying yes. We're on YouTube, so please comment, subscribe, like, and also, like I said before, all of Marquita's information will be in the description. We encourage you to please check her out and utilize these great services that she has to offer. And once again, just thank you for being with us today and sharing your gifts. So till next month, everyone, please take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Thank you.
True You is brought to you by Radiant Vessels and sponsored by Proviso Partners for Health.